Stuart, I have a couple questions. My first one is, what pleases God?
What pleases God?
Mhm.
I don't understand. How do I answer that question?
Well, I think I have
God, I don't, how do I answer that? I don't
I
understand.
think for my own self, I'm getting caught up in like, if success doesn't look like this, then that's not going to be pleasing, right? Like if I'm efforting in something and it doesn't come out with like a certain,
Look, uh, compassion, love, gratitude, suffering, look, we're all a bunch of children of God. And everybody is going through whatever situation they're going through in life. And, and in a strange way that only God knows, we're all being guided towards a state of spiritual enlightenment. We have to go through whatever karma we're born on the earth to go through. And I don't know how do I know what pleases me? I'm not God, you know? I mean, certainly if you offer up gratitude and you have not only gratitude for your life, but, compassion for the people in your life, you attaining the highest state of your own humanity, really becoming a deeply happy person inside, and learning how to serve in the world. It's like Rudy said, a teacher, or that really applies to anybody. We're here to serve the people in our lives, and we're here to serve God. With that kind of humility, you don't even have to worry about what pleases God. You will grow and you will have a life that really will truly be connected to higher energy in the universe. But do I know what pleases God? I don't know. Look, I mean, a murderer becomes a saint. I guess that would please,
no, I'm understanding what you're saying is helpful. Thank you. What you're saying is helpful. Thank you.
Yeah, I don't, how I'm not God. Thank God I'm not God. What a job. But I mean, I learned from my teacher very important elements to what it means to be a human being. I learned, and one of the most important one is something I repeat a lot, and that has to do with the purpose of living. I mean, so many people with ego, with their own points of view and the way they look at, think they're playing the role of God. They know better than everybody else, and it's sheer madness. But the ability to serve, the ability to have compassion for other human beings, the ability to serve a higher force in the universe, the ability to serve and forget about being a teacher, just as a human being, serve our families, serve, friends, serve people we work with. And by that, I don't mean being, some kind of slave. I mean, with an open heart and love and trying to connect with other human beings that way is a tremendous step towards attaining one's enlightenment, a tremendous step towards working out one's karma on the planet. I mean, does that please God? Yeah, it must, because people that attain that level of humanity are really the children of God. I mean, I don't see God as some great father sitting in the sky judging us all, I mean, I don't, to me, it's just infinite, endless energy in the universe. And everything in the universe is a manifestation of God. And everything, if it's a manifestation of God, is our teacher. It's teaching us essential things that we need to know to grow and to truly have a spiritual life. Does anyone else have a question?
Thank you, Stuart.
You're welcome. I hope that's clear, Wendy, because I don't really have an answer to what pleases God. Does anyone else have a question?
I have a question, Stuart.
Yes.
Could you just talk about the discernment between needs and wants?
Look, beside teaching these Zoom classes, what I would really like to do is to be lying on some beautiful lagoon somewhere in the Caribbean, having a Coco Loco and, enjoying the summer breeze and not having to be involved with all this COVID stuff. This is what I'd like to do and want to do. What I need to do to grow is to do what I'm doing. What I needed to do to grow was to run an ashram with 100 to 150 people in New York City. It's not what I wanted to do. What I needed to do to grow was to go to Denton, Texas, which was probably, as I said the other day, the last place in the world I ever would want to have lived, and run an ashram there for 9 years. I did what I needed to do, and I still today do what I need to do. I don't do what I want to do. I mean, and doing what I need to do always gets me involved in situations that demand that I open to a higher force of energy in the universe, that I nurture people, no matter how difficult. I mean, today I've had 55 people sitting in meditation. I mean, do you think I want to do this? You know how hard it is to do this? Little pictures of people sitting at 55 of them today. But I see what it's doing for myself, and I see what it's doing for the people that attend. And I see how it's made me grow as a human being, and it certainly has opened a pathway to God for me. This is what I needed to do, not what I wanted to do. What I wanted to do was to become some big literary success, and blah 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 with all the book. It didn't happen. But what I need, probably what kept it from happening, is me, instead of doing all the social stuff and what do you got to do. I mean, I'm teaching on Zoom because that is giving me my spiritual life. I never wanted to be in business. I was forced to go into business because I was running an ashram in Texas, and there were 20 some odd people living in this house, and we needed to generate money. That taught me how to run. I needed to do it. I didn't want to do it. The last thing in the world I ever wanted to do when I was young was to be involved with making money. I wanted to write poetry and books, and I needed to do it. It made me grow. It made me, develop a capacity to live in the world here and not be intimidated by the tensions of the world. I don't know how else to explain it except how I've lived my life. And it hasn't stopped me from, it hasn't stopped me from writing books and doing all those things, which I really wanted to do, and somehow fitted it in between all the things I needed to do. It didn't stop anything from happening that I was supposed to do. But primary to everything was doing what helped me serve a higher energy, because that was the primary goal of my life. And that's what made it possible for not only me to grow, but for many people who are sitting here who have benefited from this need that I have, And it must be their need too, because they're here all the time, which inspires me to work. You know, I remember when Rudy made me, you know, we had a puja fire in Big Indian, and he made me use my manuscript of poetry to light the fire. And after I did it, I said, Stuart, you need to do this. You need to get free of that. It enslaved me when I was a young pro. I used to work at this 12 hours a day, and I was like a slave to it. I needed to be free of it. He freed me of it. 10 years later, I wrote much better books than those poems ever were. Because I fitted, and a lot of the books came out of need too, because they were deeply spiritual books that I had to put on paper. I needed to put on paper. I mean, I don't think the Buddha wanted to fast for 40 days and nights in the desert. You know, he needed to do it. I don't think Christ had to go fight with the devil in the desert for also 40 days. He needed to do it. It was part of the growth process. Not that I'm comparing myself to the Buddha and Christ. I'm not, but I'm just using examples of what the greatest of them went through. Because they needed to do it.
So your clarity around what was an actual need that, you know, you really needed to pursue was based on how it served higher energy. That was the clarity between discerning, okay, this is actually a need versus a want.
My clarity is what makes me grow. What makes me evolve and grow and develop a capacity to truly serve higher energy. That's the difference, not what I want to do. What creates that kind of situation in my life? You know, I could have said, well, damn it, there's COVID, and what do I need to do this for? And I can have a person come occasionally and do meditation. No, maybe I want, but I needed to do this. And it came. It really came in abundance. And I always wondered when I was traveling around the world, how can I get everybody together? You know, I would go to all these groups, 15 people, 18 people, 10 people, 20 people. And how do I do that? You know, I hope that God didn't give the world COVID so I could learn how to do this, you know? But it certainly forced me to learn how to do this because I needed to do it. And the growth in the last 2 years has been phenomenal. And I get that feedback from a lot of you who send me emails telling me how much the growth in the last 2 years has affected them of doing this. I don't know if it's right or wrong. I don't know what's right or wrong anymore in the world. I gave that up years ago. I just know I need to grow every day. I remember Rudy telling me work brings more work, and he's right. It brings more work. And you can be tired on your own time, he once told me, not on God's time. You know, it's true. Sometimes I come to these classes, how am I going to do this? And by the end of the class, I feel like I'm 25 years old. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
Thank you.
You're welcome, Wendy. I love your questions, Wendy. They really get me going.
Hi,
Is
Stuart.
Yes?
Hi. And thank you for that answer because that explains when fear comes up, how to shift looking at the situation. So thank you for that. And so I wanted to ask, sometimes during meditation, spontaneous creative ideas come up or a solution, and I'm not thinking of anything. They just pop into my head. And they're wonderful when it happens. So I just wanted to ask you about that place of, I'm not thinking of anything. It just,
Oh, it happens to me all the time. You know, big problems, and then suddenly there's a solution. You know, you're clear inside. You understand there's room for the energy to feed you and bring in every class bits of knowledge that you need to build your life. And you get solutions that way. Things pop up, sometimes really. I mean, I've gotten answers to how to go on with a novel that way, you know, in the class, in the middle of the class, bing. That's what I have to do. You know, I don't dwell on it, but then it's there to be used in life.
yeah,
So yeah, just be grateful
yes.
that these things come because they're really there to serve you, you know?
Thank you very much.
Much,
Right.
much easier, serve you in a much better way than if you think about trying to get the answer. Because then you
Absolutely.
just drain yourself, you kill yourself, you know?
And they're creative. They're just unusual. And I'm appreciating that very much.
Good. Unusual is good.
I agree. Thank you, Stuart.
Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask?
I find often those ideas bring more work, but maybe that's what I need to do.
No, Soren, I can barely, you're like static. You have to,
Oh no, not again. I had a question. What's the difference between love and sexual energy?
sexual energy is remarkable when you love the person that you're having sex with. You know? There's no difference other than the way people use it. You understand? Most people use sexual energy in a promiscuous way. You know, they want to get their knocks off, they want to have an orgasm, whatever it is, you know. But when the person who is really deeply embedded in your heart, you know, the act of sex can be one of the highest forms of meditation you can do when that love is there. At the same time, how many people do that? Most people, it's just, you know, it's using other people, it's taking advantage of other people, it's, you know, whatever, you know, and it doesn't work. So the love and sexual energy really go together in a very profound way. It's the high point of Tantra because that kind of energy will activate Kundalini. That kind of energy will bring together the male-female principle in yourself and activate the force of Kundalini. Promiscuity doesn't do that. You know, it's always using people badly. So what I suggest is, you know, the growth inside you will bring together the love and the sexual part of yourself and will attract somebody into your life that you will share that with. And then it's wonderful.
Thank you.
Welcome. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? You know, Soren, that's one of the most important elements of inner growth is the mastery of sexual energy. Because it's the energy of rebirth. It's the energy that gives birth to the Kundalini. It's the energy of transformation of the human to the spiritual. It's one of the most important elements of inner work. You know, and as you develop consciousness and the chakra system, you know, gets stronger and more developed in you, you learn how to use the sexual energy that way. Whether it's with a partner that you love or you in meditation class. It's the energy of rebirth. The human transforms itself to the divine when energy moves through the sexual area of a human being. So it not only gives birth in the world to a new generation, it gives birth within ourselves to spiritual enlightenment. And combined with an open heart and love, it's one of the highest forms of meditation. Does anyone else have a question they would like to ask? Okay. As I said earlier, I'm going to have to cancel the in-person classes for a while, not forever, just, maybe for a few weeks, 3 weeks, a month, because this COVID thing is getting out of hand here in New York and Connecticut, and people I know are starting to get it, and I don't like that, and I don't want to create any kind of situation that could do any damage to anybody, including myself. It's not out of paranoia or anything, it's just simply being careful about hurting people in situations, So that in-person class, which is, I really love, I really love that, I'm going to have to just cancel it for a while. Unless people coming here want to get tested a half hour before they come here, It's getting crazy in the world, and I don't want to bring that into my house. So most of the teachings will be done here on Zoom, and maybe in 3 weeks, a month, things will kind of ease up a bit, and I'll start doing the in-person classes again. So God
Stuart?
bless you all. Yes.
When I came to see you, I brought with me these really good at-home antigen tests that have good reputations. My doctor and dentist both told me about them, and I tested right before I saw you. And they're a great solution. So if you'd like, I can send you the.
No, I don't want to have to monitor people, Christine.
Okay.
I really don't. I don't
Okay.
want to. Did you check? I don't want to do that. I don't want to run
Okay.
a kindergarten.
Okay.
I really don't. So it's fine, thank you, but I appreciate that, but I don't want, I have to at the door checking them, did you get tested? And I'm not gonna do that. Let this whole thing die down a little bit, and then we'll start up again. Does anyone else have a question to ask? Okay, well, God bless you all and thank you. And I always end this way because I have such deep gratitude for what goes on in these classes. And I can't tell you how much I've been learning doing this, and hopefully you all are learning a great deal. And I can't do it without you. You understand? Your presence here is like a miracle to me. So God bless you all. If you know people that want to come, I'm open, to receiving new students. It's always good to get new students. So let me know. And anyway, have a wonderful evening and bless you all. And
Thank you, Stuart.
class again this Sunday. I'll have class this Sunday.
Thank you, Stuart.
God bless you.
Very much, Stuart.